reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe at home? So that I'm counting days until a second glow. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around without a doubt, the yells is all you need to do. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe at home? So that I'm counting days until a second glow. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around without a doubt, the yells is all you need to do. far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? Till the counting days until a second go. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around without a doubt, the yells is all you need to do. It's all you need to do.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV for another Good Morning Tottenham. We've got quite a bit to get through today. The running order of the stream is going to be, first we're going to go through Nuno's press conference, then we're going to give a match review, and then we're going to go through the weekend's Premier League perspective, and then we're going to be taking calls on the West Ham game for members. So a link is in the community section right now if you want to come on. But Sim, last night, yesterday, 1-0 against West Ham. It's just so hard to take, isn't it?
I think especially because I felt like we were probably overall... I mean, look, it was a poor game, let's be honest. It was overall a game of few chances. It was a very tight game.
Wasn't a game of high quality, was it?
No, it wasn't a game of a lot of good football being played or anything like that. So I think it was a game between two teams who were clearly very close in quality-wise. I think there was very little between the two sides. But within that, I think within that context, I think Tottenham were marginally the better team throughout the game, throughout most of the game. I know people don't want to hear that. I know people like to... I know a lot of people like to go overboard about how useless and bad and how unacceptable performance was and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't see that from the performance, me personally. I didn't think it was like great. It wasn't like a performance I would say, oh, so good to watch Tottenham, what a great performance. I'm just saying within the context of two very close teams playing against each other where there's very little between them, where, you know, one mistake can make the difference. I thought within that context, Tottenham were probably the better team. We created the better openings, I thought, and we didn't make the most of them. That was the most annoying thing. And as soon as we conceded, we didn't look like scoring whatsoever. That was probably the most disappointing thing from yesterday. I think the lack of reaction, or it wasn't just reaction, just a lack of ability to hurt or even ask questions of West Ham once we went 1-0 down. That was a worrying sign as to how easy it was for West Ham to defend against us when we're pressing for a goal.
Yeah.
That was annoying. I think when the game was open, when both teams were looking for a result, when West Ham had to come at us a bit to try and get a goal, and they left themselves a bit open at the back when in the transitions, I thought we actually exploited it fairly well a few times, and I'll go through that later on. But unfortunately, the decision-making, once we got to those crucial points, we didn't make the right decisions all the time, or the quality wasn't always there to get the best of the opportunities we made for ourselves. And then we conceded, obviously, to West Ham a really poor set piece, which we'll go through as well, and ends up with no points. But what will Nuno take for that game? I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to know if he'll think it's hard to know whether he'll look at that game and think, I need to do a lot of work on how Spurs are in possession, and I have to completely rip it up again and start like new tactics, or it's unacceptable. Or will he think, look, we had control of the game, we were doing well, and that set piece cost us a bit more quality in the final third, and we could have won that game. It's hard to know how he'll assess it, but I think he'll probably go for the second option, seeing as we'll see in his press conference he seemed to think we played quite well.
Yeah, well, look, we'll get into a full in-depth match review in a minute, but let's get into Nuno's press conference, only 5-minute one, and then we'll react to it.
There you go.
The way we concede, but apart of that, I think we did a good game. We had possession, we had control of the game, we created, didn't allow, besides counter-attacks of West Ham, we didn't allow not many situations. Should be better on the offensive box, better that we have to be more aggressive on that moment of the game. But this is how I saw it, yeah.
So it's just been in London derbies so far this season, scoring just one goal. Is that concern to you?
Yeah, it's always frustrating. What's frustrating is a London derby that we knew that means a lot for our fans, it means a lot to us, and we're not able to win it. We're disappointed because it hurts. Of course, it hurts.
Thanks, Jonathan. Sammy Mockwell, please.
I don't know. You struggled to create chances, particularly in the second half. You had two good chances in the first half, but with regards to the second half, when you were chasing the game, why did you feel there was that difficulty in creating clear-cut opportunities?
Because West Ham defend in the box with a lot of men. There was not too much space, and should have moved the ball faster, go into the wide areas. But it's always difficult when the team is all the men behind the ball. It's difficult to find spaces and gaps.
And just second of all, in hindsight, looking back, do you regret not making any substitutions earlier?
The game, like I said, was under control. The changes are required when we think they should, but the game was always, and the boys were playing good. And we made the changes in the moment that we felt that the team needed.
Thank you.
Okay, Charlie Wyatt, please.
Were you a bit disappointed that the team didn't look as fresh in the last 30 minutes? Because you obviously rested the whole team for Thursday. West Ham had half their team played on Thursday. Do you feel the team should have looked a bit fresher at the end?
I don't agree. I think all the players worked very hard and they were fitness-wise available to deal with the game.
Okay, and Charlie Eccleshare, please. You're on mute, Charlie.
Are there any positives you can take from that at all?
Sorry?
Can you repeat? Are there any positives to take from it?
Sorry?
Were there any positives that you can take from that defeat?
Not too many, but when you lose a game like today, that I believe that we were a better team. The only positive is feeling that there are aspects to improve that will guide us to winning more football matches.
Thanks, Charlie. And finally, Zaya Adnan, please.
Hi, Nuno. Quick question. On the midfield, despite all the physical presence, it looks like the midfield players is lacking a bit of creativity. Do you agree with that?
No.
So, supplying enough balls into Son and Kane was probably a problem in the second half. That's how I saw it. Do you agree with that?
I think the team needs to be balanced. In terms of the presence of the players. Beside being good players, they give us the balance that the team needs. And we have enough creativity with our fullbacks, with our attackers. Yeah, I don't agree with you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, Nuno's press conferences are getting worse and worse week by week. I mean, they're really hard to watch. They really are.
Why?
Just the way he is. I think his persona, he just doesn't. I mean, like Jose and Poch. Well, let's go to Poch first, because Poch didn't really give much away, but I still much rather enjoy Poch in his interviews. I think that Nuno just seems a bit defensive in his press conferences.
Yeah, well, he has to be, doesn't he, with the questions he's getting asked?
Yeah.
He's kind of thinly veiled attacks, aren't they, on how we play. In terms of what he was asked about, does the midfield lack creativity? He said no 4 times. No, and no. To be fair, I think there were a few times Ndombele was able to create something, but, it depends how you want to see it, because obviously when you're talking about like a team like Man City or something, if a midfielder creates 2 or 3 chances, 2 or 3 moments in a game, you're like, that's not enough. We need 5, 6, 7, 8. But when you're talking about Spurs, when it's he's not got as good players around him, I don't know. I feel like Ndombele could have done better, but I felt like he wasn't like terrible. He did create a few moments, didn't he, Tongi? But he was the only one creating.
Yeah, he was, but like we weren't anywhere near creative enough. I mean, like we kept saying yesterday, like in the transitions we looked good when the West Ham defence weren't ready, but when we had the ball and we actually had like the game to play in front of us in terms of an actual game plan, there was just nothing there really. There was just nothing there. And there were moments where we were getting in good positions where if we had better delivery, then maybe we could have got something. And yeah, I definitely agree that we were definitely more likely to score than West Ham. But in terms of the way we play, it is just a bit too side, back, and we only look dangerous when the other team loses possession, really.
Very easy to defend against.
That's what
it seems like. We can't... once the team gets in a low block, I guess, look, teams go in a low block because that's the hardest to break through, obviously. We know that. But it's just that when we have the quality of players that we do in the final third, at that point it becomes about how you coach them into getting into positions and manoeuvring themselves to make it difficult for the opposition to withstand pressure from you. And at the moment, we're not doing that. Look, it's still, as I say, 9 games in, but at the moment, we don't seem able to play against a defence that is settled at the moment, and or just even test them. That's the one thing. There's one thing playing against them, but there's another thing literally making them struggle, making them look like they have to actually do stuff. At the moment, it's like swinging in across, Zuma and Bono able to deal with that night and day. It's like nothing there.
There's enough teams that have less quality than us that play with proper patterns of play, proper attacking football that can create a lot of chances during a game. I don't understand why we can't.
Brentford's one of them.
Brentford, Brighton, there are loads of them.
Wolves.
There are loads of them around the Premier League. The Premier League is so stacked with quality this season. You've got teams that have so much less quality than us that can create chance after chance. When we've got Kane, Son, Ndombele, these players who could be considered as world class, and we just can't be. We're not creating nowhere near enough.
When you talk to Nuno, when you go back to Nuno's press conference, he was asked about. Are you worried that the players looked unfit in the final 30 minutes or something? And after you left them at home, and he said, "I disagree. I don't think the players struggled with fitness during the game." Do you agree with that? Do you think it was a fitness issue?
No,
yeah,
I don't.
I agree. I don't think it was either.
Nah, I don't think it was a fitness issue. I think that it was purely a tactical issue yesterday. And I think that was brought out for everyone to see. And to be honest, it wasn't just a tactical issue. It was a quality issue in the final third as well, because Nuno can't account for, players getting in good positions and not putting a good delivery in, can he?
No, he can't. But yeah, in terms of fitness, I don't think it was a fitness issue at all. I didn't see players yesterday struggling with fitness.
No, I agree.
That's not what I saw.
No, I agree.
Yeah, in the final, in the last 20 minutes we struggled to create. That was nothing to do with fitness. There was no one looked like they were huffing and puffing or tired. Even on Ndombele, he looked like he
and that's two 90-minute. Well, he didn't play 90 minutes, but close to two long stretches of the game in a row now, and it wasn't the fitness whatsoever. I mean, we came out sluggish in the first 10-15 minutes, but after that we grew into the game and our fitness looked all right.
Yeah. So I disagree with that. In terms of, he said the question was, did we struggle to get supply into Kane and Son during the second half, which is probably true. I would say I think I can remember Kane having a few moments where he was on the ball, but then he got crowded out. Son in the second half didn't really affect the game whatsoever. He was more involved in the first half. In the second half, I don't remember too many times he was able to get the ball in the final third. But it's a team game. It's not like, obviously Kane and Son are world-class players, but and they obviously can make the difference for us. But I think it gets lost when people ask questions like that. Oh, did you fail to get supply to Kane and Son? It's like, no, we failed to build up any momentum into the final third to actually create any chances whatsoever. Forget Kane. It's not about just Kane and Son. It's about the team. Football's a team game. And it kind of he's kind of implying like, because we didn't get the ball to Kane and Son, like, that's why we didn't score. It's like, no, it's because we have other players, Lucas and Ndombele. Like, we have other players with quality.
But to be fair, simply not getting the ball to Son was a big downfall of our game yesterday, because Son was getting in so many good positions. He was tirelessly working hard pretty much for the whole game yesterday, running up and down the flank, getting himself in good positions. And he was in good scoring positions a number of times where we failed to get the ball to him.
Yeah, I think a few of those times, yeah. I think that's fair. But I think it was more of a team issue than just like Kane and Son issue.
Yeah, no, it was a team issue in terms of getting the ball to Son. I think what he's saying is that Son and Kane are, historically the guys in the last couple of years that get us the goals. If we take out Son and Kane's goals, how many goals have we actually scored in the Premier League in the past couple of seasons?
Probably not many.
You know what I mean? So they're our danger men, and if we get the ball to them in good positions, they will score. And we didn't do that yesterday.
Correct. We didn't do that. But I think
that's what he's alluding to by saying.
No, I understand what he's saying. I just think I think he's boiling it too simply by just saying, "Oh, you failed to get the ball to Kane and Son." Like, why was that? It's like, well, Lucas can also score. You know what I mean? And Ndombele can also score. Like, we can get it to those players. It was a team issue. The whole team did struggle in general building up play. William Kelly with a super chat. This guy is lost, dead man walking, and I feel sorry for him. Levy is to blame here. How are we supposed to progress as a team with this level of manager and lack of investment? I'm nearing the end.
Wow. In terms of that super chat, I mean, I was saying it yesterday. I mean, his persona on the sidelines, his persona in press conferences does seem like a bit of a dead man walking. It really does. 9 games in, it's a bit ridiculous. He doesn't seem to have any sort of positivity about him, really.
Well, he's trying to be positive, but he seems like he's finding it hard to be positive.
That's what I'm saying. He's trying to be positive in things he says, but the way he says things doesn't come across as positive, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess. But I guess after a win it's different, and after a loss it's always
Yeah.
difficult, especially when you've lost like 4 games now this season already.
And me saying that he seems like a dead man walking, it's not me saying that I want him to go. It's just me like reading of how he's coming across, kind of thing. That's the situation. But look, shall we get into the match review? Let's get into the match review. West Ham 1, Tottenham 0 yesterday at the London Stadium. Look, you got to say that it wasn't a disastrous London derby like the previous ones have been, like the Chelsea one was, like the Palace one was, like the Arsenal one was. I thought the performance was quite a way better than it was in those 3 games. But still, we couldn't find a way through. Creativity was a massive flaw. Look, I say creativity was a massive flaw, but we were getting in really good positions. We had good chances to score in the game. But the kind of quality in the final third really did let us down on a number of occasions yesterday. And if these players like Kane, Ndombele, Reguilon, I know Reguilon put in a few good crosses during the game, but and sometimes where the men were free in the box, he put in poor crosses. So I think that if those moments and we could have provided more quality, I think we actually would have won the game yesterday.
I think, West Ham really struggled to, I wouldn't say contain us, but they struggled to definitely create any chances against us. I think their game plan was to get the ball to Antonio. He was to get the ball, hold the ball up as Spurs were pressing them, and then he would bring other players into play and create chances. It worked a couple of times in the first half. I remember Souček had a header, and I remember Fornals had a volley at the back post, which Lloris made a good save. But other than that, they really did struggle, West Ham, and they struggled a lot more than Spurs struggled, I can tell you that. Like, they were really struggling to influence the game, West Ham, for large parts of that. And Tottenham, it seemed like Romero was like a trigger for how Tottenham would attack, actually, in a weird way. He would win the ball back, and all of a sudden Tottenham would spring as soon as he wins the ball back off Antonio. And that happened a number of times yesterday, and it was working really, really solidly, except Spurs didn't find that goal or really clear-cut. We've had a few clear-cut openings. We weren't able to make the most of them. And that was the most frustrating thing yesterday. And I think Nuno tactically yesterday, but probably I can see what his plan was. I really could see what his plan was yesterday, and it was working for large parts, but we just didn't execute it perfectly in the final third, and that's what cost us in the end. And then obviously when it's 0-0, I think that after about 60 minutes, the openings did start to dry up, to be fair, for about a 10-minute spell. But they didn't have it. It was just like a very tight game for about 10 minutes. And then, so at that point I would have made a change once those openings start to dry up, which he didn't, Nuno. He kept it the same because maybe he thought we could regain control again. But then they scored in pretty much the perfect time because the openings stopped happening for Tottenham, and then they get a goal out of nothing from a set piece, which actually was caused from a mistake from Reguilon before that. And as soon as that goal went in, it was like it was game over. That's the most annoying thing. It was like I could see it. I remember watching. I was like, if they score, that's it. There's nothing we can do now.
I don't understand his thinking behind the subs. I just don't get it whatsoever. We were saying it here, sitting here watching the game. I'm sure many other people were saying it around, in the stadium, watching it on TV. Everyone could see that we needed some extra energy to go and regain that game and go on and get the winner. Why does he wait so long every time to make a sub? It's like when he was doing his coaching badges or something, did he miss out that module on how to use substitutions? Like, it's ridiculous. Every single game, the same thing happens in terms of substitutions, waiting so long.
I think Brains McLeod said it perfectly last week. When he's like, I think when Nuno sees an element of control, he doesn't want to disturb it, and I think that's what he did yesterday. I think he saw Spurs creating more openings than West Ham, so he was like, well, there's no need to change it now. But what he didn't account for was for about a 10-15 minute period, things just started going stale a bit and things started slowing down. I think that was the moment he's got to quickly make a sub. It's like, okay, let's get a bit more energy. Maybe if with that bit extra impetus, and that extra bit of sharpness potentially, we can get a few more openings and maybe carve a few more chances out of West Ham. But we didn't do that. It's like, no, we want to hold our ground a bit. let's just keep it how it is. And then we kind of sleptwalked to defeat after that, unfortunately. And that was the most frustrating thing for me. I think as soon as West Ham got in their shape after going 1-0 up, that was it.
Yeah.
And it felt like whatever change he made at that point wasn't going to make a difference. Once we're 1-0 down, it didn't matter what change he made, because it was like we don't know how to play through a team when they're settled. Yeah. And West Ham also, not only do we not know how to play through most teams, West Ham are very good at defending. So even at the best of times, they're going to be tough to break down. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of teams would struggle to break that team.
Yeah. But, you know, when you're on top, we weren't even on top that much, but when you were on top and you've got a bit of good feeling during the game and you're going for the game and things are just not going your way, make some changes, put some extra energy into the game, try to impact things in a positive way instead of saying, oh, you know what, things are going well, let's just keep it how it is. You know what I mean?
He should be able to foresee things before, as Pochettino used to say, you have to realise it's going to go wrong before it goes wrong. That's how a manager has to be, unfortunately, in the Premier League. And I think West Ham got a bit lucky with the goal, and I think they got a bit lucky to win the game. I think they all admit that themselves, most West Ham fans, that they got lucky, not necessarily to get anything out of the game, but to win the game. I think you got to say they got a bit lucky with it. But once they got in the lead, that wasn't luck. Like,
completely comfortable.
That wasn't luck. They were so comfortable. We had nothing. We had absolutely nothing, and that shows I think for me, that's what Conor Cody was saying before, how they just relied on counter-attacks before and transitions. That's what we're seeing at Tottenham at the moment. Yeah. And unfortunately, and that's what everyone was worried about before but the thing is, you can be exciting and you can be attacking within this system. And, we could have got 2 or 3 goals yesterday, and it doesn't mean it's boring, but it definitely looks boring and it looks lethargic when we're 1-0 down with 20 minutes to go. Then it's like, what is he doing?
Yesterday, basically the two ways of moving forward was either Romero to push out from defence and go on one of his runs, or Romero or Dyer to hoof it to Reguilon.
Yeah,
that was basically our 2 patterns of play. Building from the back. That's all we did yesterday.
Correct.
I don't understand why we can't just do a few passing moves. Move forward progressively. Why can't we do that?
I think I would say personnel, but I don't know if it is the personnel. I do think it's more the coaching, to be honest, at the moment. I don't know whether it just is a process or whether that's just not what he's just not what he's concentrating on the training pitch. Because I think within Ndombele, I know Højbjerg and Skip are not the most unbelievable on the ball footballers, but I think they're good enough. Especially Højbjerg and Ndombele, they're good enough that they should be able to
even
play the passes through the lines quickly. Skip as well, your goal was at times was given a bit more license to go forward, and he was looking all right.
Just the beginning of the second half, yeah.
Yeah, for the first 15 minutes of the second half, we were actually looking pretty solid.
That was our best moment in the game.
Yeah, that's when we should have gone for the kill. But I do think it's a coaching thing, because I think within Ndombele, I remember there was one moment where we were able to break the lines, and obviously Reguilon should have played it to Skip and we should have scored, but that was the only time really we were able to break the lines, when they were settled. Any other time was just them on a counter. And I think with the quality we have, these players, if Guardiola was manager of us, these players would definitely be able to do more quick passing. I can guarantee you
100%.
that these players definitely have the quality. So it's about going with what we have at the moment. At the moment we have Nuno, and I'm not saying he's a terrible manager. I just think he's not an amazing one. I think that's the reality.
He's not a miracle man like what we need to get top 4 or anything like that.
He's not a world-class manager. We need a world-class manager if we want to compete with Tuchel and Klopp and Guardiola and all these teams with amazing squads.
Poch drew last night with Marseille, so maybe he's going to be looking for a job soon.
Maybe, but they're still top, aren't they?
Yeah, they are still top. There's just a few players I want to get through and talk about just before we get on to looking at these goal clips. First player I want to talk about is Romero. Obviously, he's come under a lot of praise for his game yesterday, and quite rightly so. I thought for the most part he played really well, aggressive, coming out from defence, starting attacks. That gallivanting run all the way that started a really good attack that maybe we should have scored from. But, you know, we were talking about how he had Antonio in his pocket for the game yesterday. But there were a few moments where Antonio did muscle him off the ball.
There were a couple.
That were quite worrying to me. What did you make out of his performance yesterday?
I don't know how many duels him and Antonio had, but let's say it was 10. Like, I think Antonio came out on about 2 of them. I think not only first of all, Antonio is an absolute beast and a monster, and he comes out on top in a lot of duels against most centre-backs. So for Romero to be beaten twice, you have to take it, but I wouldn't say it was worrying. I think Romero, from 8 times out of 10, was absolutely dominant over Antonio and was winning. Not only was he winning the ball back, but he was actually setting up attacks while winning the ball back as well. He was being super aggressive, and it was actually allowing Tottenham to immediately go on the offensive as soon as he won the ball back, which was really, really great. I thought he was one on the ball who was composed. I remember there was one charge in the second half. He burst forward on the counter attack. I did think in the end he probably picked the wrong option, but he did.
Yeah,
it was really
gone for Son, shouldn't he?
Yeah, it was really confident of him to have been bursting forward like that. And again, he's also very new to the league. He's very new to how things happen around here, and I think yesterday again was an example of him like being that centre back that we need him to be. And I thought him and Dyer, to be fair, both had really strong showings together. And it's a shame that we end up on the losing side without a clean sheet, because I thought his performance probably warranted a clean sheet with how he played Romero. I thought he was brilliant. I know he got shoved aside a couple of times, but that happens. It does happen when you're playing against Antonio. Antonio, you know, can you think of a stronger striker in the Premier League than Antonio in terms of strength? I can't think.
Not really.
I can't think of two. I can't think of who's stronger than him. So
no, not really. Maybe a Cavani or someone like that. I don't know.
Arguably, like, he's in the top 3 at least. You know what I mean? So he's like. It's going to happen. I think, you know, Van Dijk will probably get shoved at least once by Antonio, I would say.
I'm not sure about that.
I reckon he would. I think Antonio is one of the strongest, if not the strongest striker in the league. So I think the way he dealt with him was super impressive, despite the fact he did probably get shoved aside a couple of times. And I think, you know what, and he will learn from those times he did get shoved aside, and it probably won't happen next time, I reckon.
No, look, there's no two ways about it. I'm very impressed with Romero, and I think that he's levels above anyone that we've got at centre-back.
Lukaku, someone said Lukaku. Yeah, true.
Yeah, Lukaku as well.
Probably.
It did worry me slightly, kind of how, in those 2 moments, how easily he was kind of shoved off the ball. But I do still think that, you know, he's our best centre-back by some way. And I do love him, and I think that he's got a lot of quality about him, and the things that he did do right yesterday were absolutely superb. So I don't want to go into it too much. But another player I want to talk about in not such a good way is Emerson Royale, because I thought he was shocking yesterday. I really did. I thought he looked uncomfortable on the ball. Every time he looked to go forward, he lost it. Defensively, I didn't think too much of him yesterday either. And it's a shame, because after 2 good performances, on the back of 2 good performances, I thought he was pretty poor yesterday.
I don't think he was shocking, but I don't think he was great either. I think it was a pretty average display from him. I think going forward, I didn't think he looked too uncomfortable, to be fair. I don't think he didn't create much, which was a blot against him. I thought when he was on the ball going forward in the final third,
he was weak on the ball.
I didn't think he was weak on the ball. I felt he wasn't, like, you know, against Villa, he was running past people, whipping crosses, and he wasn't doing that.
I don't even think he beat a man once yesterday.
No, he didn't do that. But I think what he did do was he kept possession pretty well. I think he was finding players inside. Like, he wasn't a liability on the ball, is my point when I say that. I didn't think he was a player who was easily shoved off the ball or anything like that. Defensively, I don't think he was at his best. I think Fornals got better of him a couple of times. I didn't think he was. Again, I don't think he was shocking. I don't think he was. I don't think he was beaten time and time again. I think by and large he was okay. He was competent. I would say it was like a 5 4 or 5 out of 10 if I was like rate him. I didn't think he was like terrible, but yeah, it definitely was a step down from his previous performances. I agree with that.
I mean, when you're talking about a 4 or 5 out of 10, it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough.
Well, we want him to be 7, 8, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was shocking. Is my point. That's just I didn't see like a terrible performance from him. I thought it was average. That's all I saw.
I thought it was below average from him. I thought it was below average. I don't think he did anything to really impact the game yesterday at all. I mean, I don't remember anything. I mean, maybe he kept the ball well in terms of sideways passing a bit here and there. But you're looking at your fullbacks to really look how Reguilon played yesterday. You know, he was attacking down the left-hand side. He was getting in good spaces. He was getting crosses in the box, albeit not all of them good crosses, but some of them good crosses. I think when you compare Reguilon and Emerson's performance yesterday, absolute night and day for me.
Yeah, but I get the feeling Emerson was told to stay back a bit from what I was seeing, because I think when you saw Skip was going a bit more further forward on the right-hand side a bit in the second half, I felt like Emerson might have been. I don't know if it's instruction or not, but I felt like. Because we like doing this lopsided thing sometimes. So I feel like Emerson might have been told not to.
But I felt there were moments yesterday there for Emerson where he was trying to go forward and trying to beat a man, just wasn't happening for him. And he kept losing the ball and kept losing possession. So for me personally, I just don't think it was a good game at all from Emerson.
I don't remember too many times he was losing possession.
I just remember off the top of my head a couple of times. I can't remember who he lost it to or anything like that. But, you know, he was trying to beat his man on the right-hand side of the pitch and kept losing it.
All right, fair enough. I don't remember too many times he did that. But look, I'm not saying just because you're told to stay back, or like predominantly, doesn't mean you never go forward. It just means you go forward a lot less than Reguilon, was my point, which he did. And look, but I agree. He wasn't great. Reguilon was a lot better, and he needs to be better. I think he was definitely a step down. But I just didn't think it was, like, shocking. Was he our worst player? Potentially. Potentially he was our worst player. I'll agree with that.
Another player I want to talk about is Højbjerg. Him and his partner Skip. I thought Skip was brilliant on the day, but Højbjerg, I thought he was putting himself about a bit, but his passing was so bad yesterday. How many times did he lose possession yesterday, Højbjerg?
I'm not sure about the actual stats, but I know, like, usually his switches of play to Reguilon are on point most of the time, and yesterday they were not. The amount of times he played the ball over the top to Reggie, and it was just out of play every time. Over his head. Really disappointing. Reggie was getting in some good positions, but unfortunately, the passing to him a lot of the time was really, really poor. In the second half, it got a bit better, but first half it was really, really bad actually from Højbjerg by and large. I think he didn't try. I can't remember too many times he tried like passing, going like progressive passes into Ndombele and stuff like that. I didn't think he was terrible. I thought Skip was a lot better than him. But Højbjerg was okay again, but again wasn't his passing wasn't great. I thought his combativeness was decent.
His combativeness was really good. It's just that his passing really let us down yesterday. Which is the actual situation. But any other players that I wanted to talk about? Not really. I mean, Lucas Moura, I thought had a poor game yesterday. Heung-min Son was trying really hard, getting in really good positions, and everyone was failing to find him. And Harry Kane. How do you assess Harry Kane's performance yesterday?
I think he had a poor game. I did think he had a poor game. I think in general he wasn't great. I don't think he was any worse than Lucas or Son. Personally, I don't think he was. I don't think. I
actually think Son was better than him.
I don't think he was. I don't see why he was better than him.
I think Son was putting in a lot more effort than Harry Kane yesterday. He was getting in some really good positions. On the ball, Son didn't really have much to do. So maybe on the ball, Harry Kane was better just because he got on the ball a lot more than him. But Harry Kane, I thought he looked a bit lethargic yesterday. I thought that he should have done better with some of the opportunities he had, and that obviously that cross into Son, and obviously that that defending from that set piece as well.
He had a lot more duels than Son.
Yeah.
And he won a lot more duels than Son. I don't know. I didn't see that personally.
If I'm going to give them a rating, we'll see the player ratings later, but I'll just give you a sneak preview to what I'll give them too. But I would give probably Son a 5 and Kane a 4.
I wouldn't personally. I would probably give them both a 4.
That defending for the goal was shocking.
Yeah, we'll go into the.
You have to mark him down for that.
Yeah,
you have to.
I mean, it wasn't great, but I think there are reasons for it. but I think it was definitely. I don't know why he doesn't get goal side. It all happened so quickly.
Shall we have a look at it?
All right. Well, we've got a few clips to back up. And what I'm saying about in terms of Harry Kane's performance overall, it wasn't a good performance. Obviously, I think in a very difficult circumstance, West Ham were dominating him in the air most of the time. The only time he got a header on was he went on Cresswell in the back end of the first half. Yeah, he wasn't good. I can admit that, but I also think the rest of the front line weren't particularly great either, and it was difficult for them to create chances. And I wouldn't single out Kane, is my point in terms of that. I just wouldn't.
All right, let's have a look at the clip or the stills.
All right, one sec. Let me get them up. So we'll first look at. One sec. Yeah. So this is the lead up to the goal, which you see we're in quite a decent position here, defensively. Fornals is looking at that pass over there to this side. I'm not sure who. I think it might be Souček there. We're in a good position. Reguilon actually does really well to intercept the pass. Where is it? What's going on here? Oh, there you go. He does really well to intercept the pass. He gets it here. He steps in, intercepts it. That's pretty good play from him. But then once he intercepts it, he's got three players here to his left. He's got two players here to his left he can pass it to, but he decides to try and knock it forward like that. I don't understand why he does that when he's got space. That's Reguilon. He does really well to intercept the pass, but then instead of playing it to one of these two and then progressing forward, and actually that could have, look, you got Ndombele here, you've probably got Kane and Son further forward. We could have probably set up an attack there if he plays this right Reguilon with this interception, because look, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even potentially 6 there Cresswell players in the Spurs half. If we can get this ball forward quickly, we could actually be creating an opportunity. He decides to try and knock the ball forward, and unfortunately ends up losing the ball to Fornals, which obviously creates opportunity. He has a shot which Lloris saves, and then one sec, and then obviously that leads to the corner which they scored from. So let's go into the corner now. So if you look at the ball here, where's the here we go. So the ball's like there. There's the trajectory of the ball right there. You've got 1, 2, 3 players here at the front post before Harry Kane. Harry Kane is like here.
Yeah.
There's Harry Kane and Antonio. You got 4 players here before it hits Harry Kane, and the trajectory isn't really that high. In fact, in the next shot, I'll bring up the ball is around here, really low trajectory, and even there, before it hits Kane here, there's 3 players. There's 1 player there, Lucas, going for the ball. I think it's just about to go over his head, and there's 3 other players there at the front post. And look how low the ball is. The ball's right here. So I don't understand how. I was trying to think, how the hell did it get to Harry Kane, Antonio? And not only did it get to him, it got to him at his foot over here, so low. I was thinking, how could it got so low to him? I didn't understand it until I took a closer look. But first of all, look at Kane's defending before we go into how he got through to the front post. So Kane here, just before the ball comes over, he is actually in front of Antonio, if you can see here. He's in front of his leg here, right? Mm-hmm. So how does Antonio get a march on him? As the ball comes across, Kane thinks the ball's there. Look, there's 3 players there. He thinks at least one of them is going to get on it. So I think
who are those 3 players?
Dyer. Sorry, there's Skip, there's Højbjerg, and there's Reguilon there.
From that screenshot right there, it looks like Dyer's just going to head that away.
Sorry, that's Skip there. There's Skip, there's Højbjerg there, challenging with Souček and Reguilon.
Who's challenging Souček?
Højbjerg is there. and there's Skip as well. Skip and Højbjerg both on Souček, and he doesn't get anything on it. But Harry Kane, I think he thinks one of them's going to get there, and then as soon as it goes over his head, then that's how. Then as soon as it goes over them, then it's just about who's quickest to react, and it was Antonio was quickest to react than Kane.
It must have been too high because who's that? Skip there or Højbjerg? They're jumping. Yeah. They're jumping and it goes over the head.
No, I'll tell you why it went through them. I'll show you why it went through them in a minute. But it shouldn't. I'll tell you, it shouldn't have gone through them, and I'll tell you why it went through them. But Kane, and it was very, very basically Kane, because here, look, Kane has him. Kane is in front of him there. You can see his legs in front of him. But as soon as it goes over their heads, that's when, and then it's just a race between who can react quicker, Kane or Antonio, because it was a bit of a shock. It actually went over them, and Antonio won that race. He reacted quicker than Kane. Kane failed to react, in all honesty, which is a shame. And it
Why
goes
is
in.
Kane on Antonio anyway?
Great question. That's a question for... Look, Romero's on Ogbonna here. Everyone asking, where's Romero? So Romero's got Ogbonna. Ogbonna scored last week against Everton, so you know he's a big threat from set pieces. So I'm guessing that's the reason. But I've looked, how did it get through this first bit? I've actually analysed it. And what happened is, and I actually think this should have been a foul. So you got Højbjerg here and Souček challenging for it. Højbjerg is ahead of him. He's goal side. But when it comes to the front post, if you can see here, it's hard to see because of the frame rate. But if you watch the replay of the goal, Souček's arm goes onto Højbjerg's head. You can see his arm there. I don't know if it's very hard to see, but you can see his arm is on his head there. His arm is he's literally shoved his head on his arm. If you watch the replay, you can literally see Souček literally shove his head. Højbjerg doesn't really make anything of it because it's just a challenge. But as soon as Souček challenges Højbjerg's head with his arm, he pushes it, Højbjerg's head goes down, and then it goes over Højbjerg's head into Kane and Antonio. That's how it gets through.
So what are you trying to say then? Whose fault is it? What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say it should have been a foul.
Should have been a foul.
I'm trying to say it should have been a foul. But because Højbjerg doesn't really make a meal of it, he doesn't say anything. He just assumes he lost the challenge. It goes through to Antonio and Kane. Kane is caught flat-footed because he doesn't expect it to go through. Antonio, being a striker, he's expecting something to happen, a mistake. That's what they do. Kane obviously failed to react, which is a blot against him, which he should have reacted. But it's difficult to react so quickly. Look at the distance between that. It's a very small amount of distance, and it's whipped in with a lot of pace. And the only reaction time is from here to here. That's the only reaction time because it's difficult. Because Kane is expecting Højbjerg or one of Højbjerg and Skip to actually win that header. So that's how it's got through. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it, Højbjerg is about to win it until Souček kind of puts his arm across Højbjerg's face. You watch the replay, that's what happens. It makes Højbjerg's head go down, and then it falls to Kane, and it goes into the back of the net. And that's what happens.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So that's the goal. Just come back to the wide a sec. All right, so that's the goal. In terms of Spurs, everyone says we lacked chances. We didn't hurt West Ham at all yesterday and stuff like that. I don't think that's necessarily true. And I'll show you because I think we created opportunities where the stats won't reflect what happened, basically. Like XG won't account for some of these situations Tottenham created and stuff like that. First of all, I want to look at in the first half. This was a situation we created, but it was pretty much similar. We did this a few times in the second half, but in the first half here. So, one sec. Get that up. There you go. So first half, this happened time and time again. The ball's being played here into Antonio. Romero's behind him, but Romero, because he's super aggressive, he's able to step in front of him and win the ball back, as he does here. He's able to outmuscle Antonio, win the ball back. But it seemed to be a trigger. Whenever Romero wins the ball back, it seemed to be a trigger for Tottenham. As soon as he wins it back, people would burst forward and we would create a chance. And this seemed to happen again. This was in the first half. This is leading on to how a few times happened in the second half. So the first half happens here. Here's Son. Romero quickly plays the ball into Son. He plays a 1-2 with he plays the ball into Ndombele here. He plays the ball into Ndombele there. And Ndombele waits for the run for Son. Because it's in transition, West Ham are not settled in their back four. And Ndombele is able to play that ball in behind there to Son, who's running forward here. Because he's got a run on Ogbonna. But here, I think Son, no one's really talking about this, he has to square that. He has to square that to Kane. Kane's absolutely free. He's ahead of Zuma, where if he squared it, Zuma couldn't really have blocked it. So I'm actually, no one really points this out, but Son had to square that to Kane. It would have been 1-0. That was a mistake by Sonny. But that happened in the first half. It happened only once or twice in the first half. Cut back to wide for a sec. So that was what happened in the first half, right? But then everyone keeps saying that Spurs in the second half had no threat. They didn't hurt West Ham at all. But that's not what happened. If you see the chances, if you see what happened in the, one sec. If you see the opportunities we created, these are, I'll show you now, these are things that stats don't really account for. And I'll show you some of the opportunities that Spurs really could have scored from in that second half where everyone says we had no threat and we didn't create anything. We did, and I'll show you. So the first one, one sec, here we go.
I don't think anyone said we had no threat in the second half.
Everyone
were saying
says
that
it
we didn't have any
unacceptable.
shots
We had
on
no
target.
shot.
No shots
I know
on
we
target.
had no shots.
No one
but
said the threat. I think that people were saying shots on target.
No, people are saying that.
Well, that's what from what I've seen, it said shots on target.
People are saying we didn't hurt West Ham. We didn't do anything.
Because we didn't have a shot on target.
No, but that's not what hurting West Ham is.
It's
creating opportunities, which we should have scored from.
Well, you can read it both ways. You know, it's not just that way. You can only.
That's not Nuno's fault. We didn't have because the player didn't shoot. That's not Nuno's fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I keep saying, it's because of I think that we did create, but it's the lack of quality in the final third. I'm saying
the narrative at the moment in the second half is that everyone keeps going on about how we had no shots and how we didn't do anything to West Ham, and I'm just showing how that's not true. We did.
Let's have a look.
In the second half. So again, the trigger is Romero. He wins the ball. He's over here challenging Antonio. He wins the ball back. Again, and again, it's a trigger for Tottenham to attack. Here's Ollie Skip. This is literally just a second half of starting. He plays an absolutely beautiful ball here through to Tonkin Ndombele.
That was brilliant.
Unbelievable pass from Ollie Skip. Opens up West Ham. Again, they're not in their settled back four because we're in transition. So it's Ndombele's there. And now Ndombele wants to get it into this area here. Oh, one sec. And Ndombele needs to get it into this area here to find Harry Kane. Kane's running in the back post. Unfortunately, he gets it around there. Not a great ball. Fabianski picks it up. That was one opportunity which Spurs could have scored from in the second half. Next one was here. And Ndombele, again, this is actually the only time Spurs were able to break down a settled back four from West Ham. And Ndombele's here. He does a little nutmeg on Rice, plays it into Lucas. Lucas then plays a lovely through ball into Sonny. Very quick stuff. Sorry, into Reguilon. Reguilon's free on the left-hand side. He bursts down on the overlap. And then once Reguilon's in this position, Ollie Skip is there, as you can see, in this area. Obviously, it's a difficult ball here to get past Ben Johnson and find Ollie Skip. But what he does is he finds it beyond Ben Johnson, but actually curls behind Skip. I don't know if Skip overruns it or Reguilon's ball is too hard and just behind Skip. But unfortunately, he actually seems to get it beyond Johnson, but behind Skip. And that was another opportunity where a bit further forward is another tap-in, another opportunity for Spurs to score and get a goal. No shot, but clear opening.
Yeah.
Last one. Again, Romero wins the ball back. Another trigger for Tottenham to attack. Happened time and time again yesterday. Romero's here, winning the ball off Declan Rice in this position here. There's Romero. He then charges forward. He himself on the counter-attack. Probably should have slipped in Son there because he's got, look at that space he's got to run into, Son. So much space. He probably should have slipped him in there. He decides to go out wide this way to Harry Kane. Maybe because he's facing that way. He's a centre-back, not a naturally creative player. Then Harry Kane's on the ball. Over here. Son has all that space to run into here. Oh, bit of a heart shape. Has all that space to run into. But Kane's ball, again, needs to be there. But it kind of goes, again, too close to the keeper. He was able to come out. And again, the chance was gone. And that was another opportunity where Spurs could have hurt West Ham 3 times in the opening 11 minutes of that half. We should have scored at least one of those chances. We didn't. The quality wasn't there. And unfortunately, that's probably what cost us at the end of the day, not taking any of these chances.
Yeah, definitely. And exactly what I was saying yesterday, exactly what I've been saying on the stream, that we were getting in good positions, but we couldn't do anything with it with our lack of quality in the final third via Harry Kane, via Reguilon, via Ndombele, via Heung-min Son.
I felt like it was the tactics that got us in those positions.
It was the tactics, but you should still have better tactics about you that you can actually create chances without being on the transition. You can create chances from building from the back. You know what I mean? Like, it still wasn't good enough in my opinion.
I'm not saying it was good enough. Obviously, it wasn't good enough because we didn't score. And
I agree with you. I agree with you in terms of that. Yeah,
I'm just saying. I read a lot of people on social media saying how like that was the worst second half I've ever seen and stuff like that. I don't think it was.
You're talking about 3 chances in the first 11 minutes. Did we create anything after that?
No, we didn't.
That's what I'm saying. It is not good enough then. I mean,
I never said it was good
enough.
I'm not saying it's good enough.
We created three openings that could have created chances. We didn't create like proper clear
that's not nothing, is my point.
No, it's not nothing.
It's not nothing. Which people say was one of the worst second halves I've ever seen and stuff like that. And I've read people. I've just seen a lot of people say, "Oh, no shots in the second half. We didn't create anything." But it's not true. No chances we did.
It wasn't the worst second half I've ever seen, but it was still pretty bad.
It wasn't good enough because we ended up losing the game. But we could have easily, if we would have scored one of those chances, it would have been a completely different story and a bit better quality. And we're talking about a different result here.
Yeah.
And someone said in the comments, so we created 3 chances in 90 minutes. No, those are just the second half. In the first half, I could have brought more, but no one saw. First half, everyone says we played all right. Which I thought we were okay. I thought in the general we were okay. I didn't think it was a great performance, but I think we were better than West Ham.
We were better than West Ham.
And in terms of, those 3 chances I just showed you, that's probably more than West Ham created throughout that whole second half, despite them winning. That's probably the reality. So when it comes to looking better, my point is when it's 2 very close in quality sides and it's a very tight game like that, when you create 3 big openings like that, you got to take advantage of it because it's so tight. It's not a guarantee that you're going to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
And West Ham, as we saw, they weren't able to create such good opportunities against us because it was such a tight game. But we didn't take advantage of what we had. They obviously got a bit of luck from the set piece as I showed, Souček with a foul and whatever. And that's it. We end up losing the game. The
fact of the matter is that's probably one of West Ham's, if not West Ham's worst performance of the season. It's probably one of our better performances of the season.
Yeah, probably.
That's also hard to take.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, for one of our better performances of the season to have no shots on target in the second half, no matter what kind of openings we were creating, to have no shots on target in the second half, to not score when we're on top in the first half. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm struggling. Look, I know we didn't play terribly well. I know that we weren't terribly bad, but it's just hard to take when you lose a game to West Ham and going down. I wouldn't say without a fight, but without any clear-cut chances.
Yeah. I would say what I would say though about what people are complaining about those last 20 minutes. People could rightly complain about that for sure. Those last 20 minutes were terrible to watch. Was terrible football. Was we couldn't create anything against them. We couldn't lay a glove on West Ham. But I feel like that's just the way we're being coached at the moment. That's the tactics of Nuno. Whether you like it or not, he's got a way. Every manager has their own way of playing, right? They have their own tactics and how they like to play the game. And if I don't think it's totally Nuno's fault that his tactics didn't end up getting the result.
It's not no, you're right about that. It's not totally Nuno's fault why we didn't get a result in this specific game, but it is Nuno's fault why we're not impacting games more effectively than we are.
That's Nuno's fault. I would say that. But yeah, I agree with that, and I would say those last 20 minutes, I would say 100% that's on Nuno. I would say that those last 20 minutes about how bad we were in terms of trying to break West Ham down, that's on Nuno because he's got to coach the team with patterns of play and movement.
We're not
and
bloody,
and
you know what I mean?
like
We're
that.
not bloody Wolves where we have to just rely on transitions and counter-attacks.
Correct.
That's not what we are. We're Tottenham Hotspur. We've got enough quality in this team to play on the front foot, to play nice, progressive football. We've
Correct.
got enough quality on that
Agreed.
team.
Agreed. And that's on Nuno.
Yeah.
But Nuno has his way of playing, and I'm just saying his way of playing should have borne out a result yesterday.
But Nuno's way of playing is not suited for a team that's going for top 4 or top 6. I'm sorry. Nuno's way of playing is for a team that, that maybe doesn't have enough quality and, want to get results in a different way.
You could argue that. You could argue that. I wouldn't. I mean, that's what he's been with Wolves, isn't it? Nuno's. It depends. Everyone. Nuno's way can be successful. It could have been successful yesterday. Unfortunately, it went against him. Do I think his way of playing is not for a team that wants to play top 4? Based on what I saw yesterday, probably not. Yeah, you could probably get top 6 with it, but don't think you can get top 4 with it. I probably agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that is our match review from the West Ham loss yesterday. Now let's get into the Premier League's perspective, where me and Simeon come on head-to-head every single week with Premier League predictions. As it stands, Simeon is winning 115 to 101. The way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a correct scoreline, 3 points for a correct result on both teams to score, and 1 point for a correct result. And there's also the star men as well, where me and Simeon pick one player each to be a star man. It's 2 points for a goal, 1 point for an assist. And let's get straight into it, and let's start off with the Friday night game. Arsenal against Aston Villa finished 3-1 to Arsenal on the night. Both of us predicting a 2-1 Aston Villa win. And Aston Villa just weren't at the races this game, were they?
Yeah, they were all over the shop a bit. I think Arsenal, you've got to say again, impressive. Very similar to the Spurs performance. They kind of
blew them away, didn't they?
Blew them away, yeah. It was a 3-0 up. They did have a bit of a late scare near the end. Again, it was pretty much carbon copy of the Spurs game. I thought they were, again, they played really, really well. Villa weren't able to hurt them whatsoever. And Smith Rowe had a brilliant game, I thought. I thought he was really strong
like
game.
he did against Spurs.
Yeah, brilliant game, I thought. And Villa, 3 defeats in a row now.
Yeah.
Bit of a really patchy form they're getting.
Really
Now
is.
I'm starting to see why we beat them.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting to feel like that as well. And like since they've beaten United at Old Trafford, which isn't looking that much of an impressive result anymore, they really are starting to fall apart a bit, Aston Villa. And it seems as though they really are struggling to kind of fit all their new signings in and gel them all together.
Yeah, I think what they're struggling with, they're playing 3 at the back because they want to fit in both Watkins and Ings into the team. They don't want to go 4-4-2, so they're going like 3-5-2 with Buendia just behind, but then they're lacking that natural width. Leon Bailey was on the bench ahead of El Ghazi or whatever, who other players on the bench as well. So but that's where they were really strong in the wide areas last year. So they're trying to adapt to a new way of playing. Haven't quite worked for them just yet. But Arsenal at the moment taking full advantage and a very good win for them.
Definitely. All right, let's move over to the Saturday. Chelsea against Norwich. We both went for 2-0. The game finished 7-0 to Chelsea. And people were thinking, without Lukaku, can they score as many goals as they were doing before? Well, I think Tuchel answered those critics, didn't he?
And how?
And 7-0. Mason Mount hat-trick.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning display from Chelsea. And, Norwich, again, like we say every week, sleepwalking to the Championship.
Yeah, when it comes to this game, before the game week, I was hovering on my fantasy team over Havertz or Mount. I was like, should I go for Havertz or should I go for Mount? Havertz going to play up front, but Mount might be in a front three. Like, should I go for him? I was like, I'll just go for Havertz. It's going to haunt me. That's
2 points.
That's going to haunt me for a long 3 points. Clean sheet, please.
Okay.
Please go clean sheet. But look, 7-0 to Chelsea. Norwich, not just sleepwalking to relegation, they're actively digging their own grave at the moment. They are. Because I tell you what the problem with Norwich is that they like to play good football. They're not hard to, so that means they're not hard to beat. They don't have the best players in the league. They got a few wins a couple of years ago because because they had that energy about them where they were able to that have a bit more intensity. But at the moment, they haven't made too many signings. They then really are not a strong team physically, and their only way of playing is playing nice, pretty football. And they just get bullied, and they're so open because that's how they like to play. They like to play football. They're the most open team I've ever seen. So they're just so easy to play against.
I don't think they got any interest in staying in this league. I really don't. They sold Buendia, who was their best player last year. They got we took Ollie Skip back on loan, who was also one of their best players last year.
Yeah.
They've got Billy Gilmore and the kid from Man United, who's it, Brandon Williams as well. And they don't even play them first
Where's
of all.
Cantwell? Is he injured? I haven't seen him.
I don't know where Cantwell is, but with getting rid of Buendia and what's his name and Skip, what do they have? They've got absolutely nothing in there. They didn't replace them. So what do they expect?
Yeah,
they got rid of their best 2 players in the Championship, come up to the Premier League and expect to stay up. No, of course they don't.
But it's just the way they play is good. Like other teams, for example, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but like other teams who maybe are not have the best quality, but they make themselves hard to beat, right? They make themselves solid, compact, and even if they're going to go down, they're going to only lose games like 1 or 2-0. But Norwich, because they're such an open, trying to be a free-flowing footballing team, it makes them the easiest team in the world to play against.
I genuinely think this might be one of the worst Premier League sides we've seen.
Do you reckon this could be worse than Derby?
I don't know about worse than Derby, but definitely one of.
Because Derby got 11 points that season.
Derby did get 11 points that season.
They're on 2 at the moment.
But you also got to look at the quality of the Premier League in both of those seasons. I think the quality of the Premier League is the strongest it's ever been right now.
That's also going against them.
So I think, that goes massively against them. So I'm not sure if you can compare it properly like that, because I think the quality of the league is a lot better than it was then.
All right.
Let's move over to Palace against Newcastle. Sim went 2-1. I went 3-1 to Palace. It finished 1-1, and Palace still can't get over the line.
Unbelievable. And I tell you what, there was a late VAR review which stopped me getting 5 points in this game.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, completely. Benteke scored a late winner, and they brought up for a foul off the ball from someone else. I can't remember who it was, Guehi or something. But I was watching this game, and Palace were just all over them. All over them. It was literally all Palace the whole game. And then they finally get the lead, which they deserved, from Benteke, who just nips off Edouard, by the way. Edouard was there, but he nips off him, which is unfortunate. But literally the whole game is Palace. And then out of nowhere, after they take the lead, a couple minutes later, Wilson scores some overhead kick from a corner.
Brilliant goal.
Great goal,
Absolutely
but out of nothing. They had nothing the whole game, Newcastle, and then they just get that. And then even after Newcastle scored, still Palace piled on the pressure and got a goal. But VAR saved Newcastle, and it was a lucky point for them.
This is classic Palace, though. This happens every week to them.
Yeah.
Literally every week this happens. Palace dominate, and they don't win.
Mm-hmm. I tell you who was great, though. Elise again. Elise was
he's
brilliant.
Yeah.
He was really good. Zaha came off the bench as well, so he's going to be back next time. Edouard actually played on the wing in this one, on the left wing, with Benteke out front. But Benteke got a goal and should have had another one. He seems to be getting back to form, and he ended last season really strongly, didn't he?
Yeah, we were saying the same things about him last season.
I was saying I wouldn't mind him as backup striker at Spurs last year, and I was proving to be it the way he's playing at the moment.
Yeah.
So fair play.
Would he even leave Palace right now to come back up striker at Spurs? I don't think so.
Look, Palace, again, still their only win of the season's against Spurs.
Yeah. All right, so at the moment it's 118 to 104. I forgot to mention that was 3 points each for the Chelsea game, 0 points for the Palace Newcastle game. Let's go to Everton against Watford, which was an absolutely astonishing game of football. We both went 2-1 to Everton, and we were looking good for a certain time. But
after 78 minutes, we're looking good.
Yeah,
and then he'll literally just
suddenly
somehow
get your bets on Watford to win the league right now. Claudio Ranieri is working his magic once again. 5-2 at Goodison Park. And I don't know if you remember, but I said in the preview, these are the kind of games that Everton do sometimes drop points in, and it came to the fore again. When they play a lower team at home, they do sometimes let you down, Everton, and that's exactly what they did again this week. The Everton fans were very toxic with Benitez at the end of the game, and rightly so, to be honest. To concede 5 at home to Watford is an absolute disgrace.
So it's funny because Josh King was on loan at Everton last year, and he's now scored more goals at Goodison Park than he did the whole of last season, which is funny. He got a hat-trick for Watford. But look, it was another case of Everton will be kicking themselves after this game, especially after taking a 2-1 lead with 15 minutes to go. Richarlison comes on, scores. And it looks like they're going to go on and win it, and they deservedly so. They were the better team most of the game. But out of nothing, Watford get a goal from a corner to make it 2-2 with 10 minutes to go. And then then Everton, what I'm assuming happened is Everton are like, okay, it's 2-2. We need to just go all guns blazing in our last 10 minutes to try and find a winner. And it actually worked against them because Watford, actually, to be fair to them, despite their lack of quality, they have some serious pace on the break. Dennis, Sarr, King as well as pacey. So if you leave it open for them, which Everton did, they can destroy you. And that's exactly what happened.
And I swear, if this game went on for 20 minutes longer, it would have finished 10-2.
Honestly, they were just creating chance after chance after chance. And Watford were like, okay, if you're going to come at us, we're just going to counter the shit out of you. It's exactly what happened. And fair play to Ranieri. Dilly ding, dilly dong.
Exactly. Dilly ding, dilly dong indeed. But let's move on to the rest of the Saturday games. Next up is Leeds against Wolves. Sim going 1-1. I went 1-0. And we both, bloody hell, this one pissed me off so much. Like, Wolves, fine, 1-0 all the way till the end. And then Leeds, in the last kick of the game, pretty much get their equaliser. I thought Wolves were good for the victory up until the last 15 minutes. And then Leeds really took control to try and get back in that game. And would I say deservedly got the equaliser? I mean, for that moment in time, yeah, maybe they deserved to get the equaliser. For the balance of play, Wolves should have won this game.
That teenager, Gilhart, he completely came on and took the game to Wolves. And he was like a one-man mission to get a point at Ellen Road. And fair play to him. He did the job. He got the penalty. He missed a few chances as well. For those last 50 minutes, I think they probably created enough chances to warrant a draw. But Wolves will be kicking themselves that they were leading for so long and weren't able to kill the game or see it out. Then you can probably put it down to another game where Wolves played well and didn't get the result their play deserved. But Leeds, with only one win, they needed the points. They couldn't afford to go get another loss in this game, so a very good point for them.
Yeah, and that's 5 points to you. I mean, you nicked those 5 points off me in the last few minutes. I was fuming, absolutely fuming. I was
big 5-point swing.
I was driving in the car listening to it on the radio, and I literally, when the goal went in, I just screamed, "Fuck's sake!" Every time he does this to me. How many times have you got 5 points in the last minute, taking away the 5 points from me? It's happened a lot this season.
I can't remember.
It's happened a lot. But anyway, the gap is opening up even bigger now. 123 points to Sim, 104 points to me. Now Southampton, Burnley, where we were all predicting a dull game, and it wasn't that, was it? 1-0 to Southampton. I went 0-0, and it finished 2-2. So I get a point here. So I claim claw one back. But yeah, I didn't see much of the game. Did you see?
I was watching it. Maxwell Cornet with a couple of goals.
He's a good player, isn't he?
And they play him up front, unbelievably. He's a left winger,
back,
or left back even at Lyon, and they played him up front. He got 2 goals. The second goal being a 25-yard half kind of bouncing volley shot, which was a brilliant effort. Fair play to Southampton again. They 1-0 down, then clawed it back to leading 2-1. Livramento and Borja, two former Chelsea players.
Livramento's looking all right.
Yeah, Livramento. He hit the post, and then from the following corner, he scored. So he looking like a great player. And then Burnley pegged them back 2-2, and it was a Close one. Southampton will probably be angry they didn't pick up the 3 points. Burnley as well, though, considering they were leading 1-0 and then they pegged it back to 2-2. Are still winless in the league. But I think Burnley will probably be happy with the point in the end.
Yeah. So I gain a point on that one. Last game on the Saturday was Brighton against Man City. Sim went 1-0 to City. I went 2-1 to City. It ended up being 4-1 to Manchester City. And Brighton starting to show a bit of dodgy form at the moment. I think they're winless in 3 games at the moment. Is that right? Against Arsenal, against Palace and against Man City. And Man City just absolutely took them to the sword in this game. 3-0 within, 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
And yeah, Man City are showing their title credentials along with Liverpool, aren't they?
Yeah, I thought I was going along to 3 points in this one, but then they got that penalty late on.
Yeah, McAllister,
We'll make it 3-1, sorry. That was annoying. But yeah, look, Man City.
You have enough with that bloody Leeds Wolves game. You had to try and take more.
I want as many points as I can, mate. They were irresistible, Man City, in this game. Foden, Grealish, Jesus. Never see them look so good together this season they did against Brighton. I thought Brighton would give more of a fight, but maybe with Brighton the way they play, maybe it suited Man City more than I thought. And I thought it was going to be a closer game than it was, but Man City absolutely destroyed Brighton throughout those 90 minutes. And there was a bit of a spirited response in the second half from Brighton, but unfortunately wasn't enough for them to even get close to City. So really bad result for them and annihilation in the end.
Yeah, definitely was. So I get 3 points for that one. Sim gets 1 point, so even more points clawed back. As we move over to the Sunday, Brentford against Leicester. Sim went 3-1, I went 3-2, but Leicester ended up winning this one 2-1. With credit to Leicester for winning this game, that's for sure.
Lucky.
Obviously, we were watching the West Ham Spurs game. You had it on in the background. I mean, you were telling me that Brentford were really playing well in this game.
It's the story of Brentford's season in a lot of these big games, pummeling the opposition, having chance after chance, not making the most of it, and then on the counter-attack just being punished. And that's exactly what happened against Leicester. If you look at like the shots or the XG or all these kind of things, Brentford lead the way completely in all of it. But Leicester got 2 clinical counters. It was
Yuri Tielemans.
First of all, Tielemans' goal out of nothing. Well, what a goal, what a strike. Mate, is there a better long-range shooter than Tielemans in world football?
In world football? That's
Maybe
a big shout. That's a big shout. World football, that's a big shout.
He's one of the best I've seen. He did it in a final against Chelsea.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean?
He did.
When you're doing it on that stage, and he's doing it consistently. In United last week, he did it.
Yeah.
Now he's doing it again against Brentford. I can't think of too many players who can have a shot like Tielemans.
He's a top.
I remember when we went
to
Belgium back in 20 when was it?
What, to Ghent?
To Ghent, and we were staying in this hotel. And we're talking to the hotel manager, and he's waxing lyrical.
I remember
this guy,
when he played for Anderlecht.
Yeah, he's like, mate, you've got to watch this guy, Yuri Tielemans. He's the best player you're ever going to see.
And we knew about him at the time as well.
That was like 4 or 5 years ago, yeah. And now he's come to the Premier League, and I think first season he was decent, and now I think we're really seeing like.
I think he's one of the best central midfielders in the league.
He's that long shot. You can't let that guy shoot. He is deadly from 30 yards. What a goal!
But it's not just his shooting. His all-round gameplay is absolutely stunning. I mean, the guy's
passing as well.
Yeah, his passing range is brilliant. I think he's just such a good player, and I think he's actually leaving Leicester this summer.
I feel his contract's up or 1 year left or whatever. And also, not only him, but Patson Daka came off the bench, got an assist off the back of 4 goals in midweek, laying off for Maddison. So they seem to, again, thriving off good recruitment at the moment, Leicester. But I got to say, watching the game, they were lucky. Brentford will be kicking themselves. They got nothing out of this game.
All right, so 0 points, either of us there. We move over to West Ham Spurs. I mean, we've just covered that in length, so we'll just breeze past it. 2-1 we both went. And probably should have been 2-1 to be fair, but it was 1-0 to West Ham, so 0 points each. And the last game of the weekend, Manchester United, Liverpool, both of us going 3-1 to Liverpool. It ended up being 5-0 in an absolute demolition at Old Trafford. Liverpool, absolutely sensational. Mo Salah, absolutely sensational. And Manchester United, where does this leave Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Yeah, he is in serious trouble. Like, to think that they went into the season with Sancho, Varane, Ronaldo, new signings, and you're thinking, okay, they finished second last year, surely they're going to go for a title challenge. I mean, who did Liverpool sign this summer? No, I can't. No, not Jota.
Konate, and that was it.
Konate. So like they've made one signing. Man United have improved 10 in
Massively,
theory,
yeah.
with Sancho and all these players, and
But you would say
they're
that
losing 5-0.
well, Liverpool are getting their whole defence back as well.
Oh, of course, I'm not saying Liverpool are bad or anything like that. I'm just saying to be putting it like they should be going toe to toe with Liverpool. It should be like a title challenging game. It should be one of these like big games, and to be absolutely not just outplayed but annihilated. And yeah, I tell you what, Liverpool weren't even at their best, and they annihilated them so badly. Like, it was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. And when that starts to happen, surely Ollie's got to be. This is the most pressure he's ever been under.
And this is the second massive battering he's taken at Old Trafford as well. 6-1 last year against us, 5-0 this year against Liverpool. It's just not good enough for a Man
But I think
United
off the back of losing 4-2 to Leicester in what was a really poor game, losing 1-0 to Villa, getting at home, getting a really poor draw.
They've conceded 9 goals in the last 2 Premier League games.
11 in their last 3 in total.
Wow.
Because 2 against Atlanta as well.
Yeah.
They should have lost that game, really. Also off the back of a 1-1 draw to Everton as well at home.
So it was Varane, the one holding it all together for them.
Since Varane's been injured, they have been. When was the last time they won in the Premier League? Actually, United. So last time it was.
Don't worry, Dr. Tottenham's coming up this weekend.
So Leicester before, then it was Everton before that. Yeah, Everton before that. Then it was Villa before that. So West Ham, they got lucky to win that game because Noble missed a last-minute penalty. Lingard scored in the 90th minute to win in the game. So that was their last win before that. And then before that, they beat Newcastle 4-1. That was back on the 11th of September.
What's happened? Because they started the season like a house on fire.
They did, beating Leeds 6-1, Newcastle 4-1.
Yeah.
Bruno was on fire. I don't know. Something seems wrong.
Ronaldo was scoring every game.
Yeah. I don't know what it is at the moment, but I think it has to be the manager. The buck has to stop with the manager at the moment. So I think Ollie really is on borrowed time at the moment, the way things are going. With the squad they've built and the results they're getting, not just results, but the performances, even when they're winning. You know, Villarreal, when they won that game, they should have been at least 2-0 down or 3-0 down when they won. Against Atalanta, 2-0 down. They needed a miraculous comeback to win. Like they can't keep relying on those things.
No, they can't. It's absolutely shocking, but don't worry.
Yeah, they'll beat us, and what happened is they'll beat us, and then he'll go on another bad one and get sacked. That's what's going to happen.
It's going to be literally this weekend. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
We're going to save him a few weeks.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to sit in the waiting room at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The announcer's going to be like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Dr. Tottenham will see you right now, and then they're going to beat us next weekend.
100% they're beating us, but that doesn't mean Ole will save Ole in the long term.
Yeah,
They'll
agree.
definitely beat us.
It'll just prolong it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we're doing the whole of the league a favour next week. That's what
literally. 1 point each there for us as we go on to the star men. I picked Mo Salah with a hat-trick and an assist. 3 goals and an assist. And you picked Edouard, who didn't get anything. So absolutely sensational. I clawed my way back somehow into this tournament a little bit. So I'm very happy.
9 points.
Yeah, 9 points. 9 points at this stage of the season.
So
is
that
nothing.
was 7 points. So
It's
what?
nothing.
Before the star man, I'm 16 points ahead.
Yeah,
Ugh.
exactly. What a haul Mo Salah gave.
With every goal Mo Salah scores, like, oh, for God's
I know.
sake.
And I was like, come on.
And he had to get an assist as well.
Yeah, just to put the sprinkles on the top
Edouard,
for me.
if Benteke doesn't get there ahead of Edouard, he gets the goal.
Salah should have got more than 3 goals yesterday
Yeah,
anyway.
probably. All right, I'll have to start picking Salah again. It's annoying.
And the 2 biggest hauls I've taken from Starman this week is this week and the first week of the season, Mo Salah both times. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. I'm back in it.
He doesn't like to be original. That's why I like to think outside the box. Like, I'm just going to go the obvious one.
Well, the obvious ones are the ones that come through. If you want to try be different, be Edouard, keep going for it. I'm happy for that. So look, as Alan says in the comments, Sim is doing a Spursy.
Definitely.
But look, that is your Premier League's perspective. And thank you everyone. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs. But now we're going to be taking on some calls, some call-ins. So who have we got waiting in the back end?
All right, let's talk to some people. Brian Dale claims there's a problem in the back end, he says, on the chat. I can hear myself in the headphones.
Just put Sim's thing on for a sec.
All right, guys. We're just going to try and work with the back end. Yeah, I can hear myself. Yeah, you can remove my Ycast. All right. Oh, there he is. I can see him. All right. One sec. Yeah, that's fine now. All right. Should we get Brian on? Brian DeGil. How are we doing, Brian? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Apart from our football team, I'm absolutely brilliant. And I've got it. I'm going to get a thing trending, Simeon. I think it's time we go hashtag rendezvous out.
Rendezvous out. Well, you've had enough. You're sick of it, Robbie. I'm sick of it.
No, yeah, exactly. Of this, the amount of time it crashes, but we you guys always fix it. So it's all good.
Exactly. We try our best. But yeah, we have had a few problems, so I have to look into that, won't we, Brian? But look, we were discussing the game earlier. The 1-0 defeat to West Ham. Did you listen to what Nuno had to say after the game?
Do you know what? Let me guess. We need to work. We need to work. We need to work.
We need to work this out.
Of course, Simeon. Of course. No, do you know what? It's got to the point. I've stopped watching Match of the Days when we lose. I just can't be bothered. The press conferences and what's being said by the managers has just been so blah blah blah, and it's the same thing every week. And do you know what? I genuinely feel sorry for Nuno. It's not his fault. Don't get me wrong. The not making the substitutions earlier. We were speaking about that in the studio yesterday. Are his fault, and he takes responsibility for that. But what he's got to work with is just not good enough, and it's not Tottenham Hotspur standard.
Yeah, I feel like his tactics. We were talking. Me and my brother were talking about that before. Nuno's tactics and what we from a Tottenham team, what we expect from how we like to play. Do we want Tottenham to be on the front foot? We want Tottenham to be able to break down low blocks and all that kind of stuff. But Nuno's got a certain way of playing, right? Clearly. Yeah. I think that's what we can see. He likes to play. He likes to focus on the transitional play. He likes to focus on counter-attacks and stuff like that. And yesterday, that could have worked, that way of playing. If our final ball was a bit better in the right moments. We created some really good openings yesterday, which we didn't take full advantage of. Obviously, we end up conceding. We end up not looking likely to score after that, or even testing West Ham. But is that totally Nuno's fault? And that we didn't end up getting the result when those crucial moments went against him?
Well, you got to look at this. It's the style of play it's working against teams like Villa and Newcastle. But when a big game came, we're being found wanting. David Moyes has his teams very, very well organised, as we could see yesterday. They were very well organised. And he can be blamed for the way we were so defensive, but he cannot be blamed for Harry Kane's performance. He cannot be blamed for the lack of quality when we do go forward. And it's what he's got, and we're in such a bad state that he's got to use this team, like we said, for the Premier League, because we know what happens with the B team. Let's call them that. And then now it's like, well, he can't trust Son. He can't trust. He certainly can't trust Kane. I've been saying it for a long time. But after the Newcastle game, it gave everyone a little bit of hope. And then we saw when the big games matter, he's disappeared again. And Nuno can't be held responsible for that, because the whole situation of this was created by one person, and Nuno's got to live with it.
Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, does it matter to you what Nuno's tactics are, as long as we're getting the result, or does the performance and kind of how we get the result matter? I know we didn't get the result, but
being a Tottenham fan, as we all are, we all want us to play expansive, attacking, attractive football, but we're not getting it. And even when Jose was getting the 1-0 wins, we weren't happy with the performance, but 3 points is all that matters. We don't win trophies for playing great football. You win it for... So if you had to say to me, do we win the next 10 games 1-0, but they're ultra, ultra boring, I will take that. but we're not, and it's a hard time. It's a hard time. So I will take the wins however they come, but I would rather we do it in an attractive manner, which we knew Nuno wasn't going to do in the first place.
Correct. But yeah, you can't play Nuno for playing how he likes to play when that's his tactics. You know, that's the way that's the way he plays football. You know what I mean? Like every manager has their set way of playing and their beliefs, and this is how Nuno likes to play. This is, you know, he's brought in to manage the team because he's the manager. You know what I mean?
If you bring in a mediocre manager, as Bob Spurs says, expect mediocrity.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're seeing, isn't it? It's exactly what we're seeing.
Yeah. Exactly. It's literally, if you hire this guy and you see what he's done at Wolves and he couldn't take him further and Wolves would spend money, then what do you expect him to do at Tottenham? Exactly the same thing. He can't do, you hire a guy based on what he's done and he's doing what he did at Wolves. So I don't know why anyone's surprised.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. But, you know, we've got the personnel in that squad to play nice, expansive, attacking, progressive football playing out from the back. We really do. And, yeah, just because Nuno played a certain way at Wolves, he's played different styles of play in different jobs as well. So, I mean, why can't we play that style of football? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I personally think it's the players' attitude. Listen, they know they can get managers out by their bad attitudes. They've done it with 3 managers already with the ones we've got. And because we don't buy in the squad in depth, they know they could just appear. I mean, you look at Liverpool, and I'm not saying we're Liverpool or anything, but they have the most feared front 3, obviously in the Premier League, if not one of the most feared top 3 in Europe. And what did they go do last season? Do you know what? Let's freshen this up a bit and bring Jota in to keep people on their toes, to give them choices, because they're in the Champions League, to say, do you know what, we need to rotate. If Firmino's not doing it, we can get him in. If Salah, and that's what they do, where we just sit there and offer these guys new contracts. And they just carry on. And there's no competition for places. So they just come in and like, I know, or I think I'm good, but one thing I do know is I'm going to get a start at Tottenham.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? When, like, I was watching, for example, like, I know it's irrelevant, but I was watching Atletico Madrid yesterday. And, like, you know, they're losing 2-1 at home to Sociedad. And for whatever reason, their front 2 isn't working. So they sub off Griezmann and they bring on a different striker. And I'm thinking, like, look, Griezmann's like their star striker. Like, why would you ever take him off? But, like, if it's not working, it's not working. You've got to try something different. But Spurs, we just can't do that. We can't. Like, even if Kane's having an absolute stinker and it's not working, but there's just no one to bring him on for. There's no one that if we bring on, even if we want to take off Kane and put Son up front, that just means we lose any sort of presence up front. We got no one who can win a header. Like when you're chasing a goal, what's the number one way to try and get back in the game? You get balls in the box. You use your physicality to win second balls and headers. But as soon as Kane goes off the pitch, that's it. That's done. You can't do that anymore. Because we got no other option, do we?
Exactly. I mean, the other thing that blows my mind, you talk about Atletico, reminded me of something I said yesterday on my channel, Tottenham Tour. You look at Liverpool or Chelsea in the Champions League, they played pretty much full teams in the Champions League, or maybe rotated a few, but played and then they play that kind of performance against United. And why do they do that? Because they have strength in depth.
Yeah,
and they buy quality, so they can afford. They spend the money rightly. Chelsea do it, but you look what we're having to do right now. We're having to arrest our team for a Conference League, so they're fit to play in the Premier League. 1 second, my doorbell's just gone. Give me 2 seconds, boys.
That's all right.
It's my dad. I'm gonna kill him.
It's my dad. I'm going to kill him. Well,
see you later, Brian, then.
Live scenes from Brian Daigle's house. Let's get the bets on. Who's at the door?
It was my dad.
Get him on.
Right.
It was my dad.
It was Daddy
He took
Daigle.
2 set of car keys instead of the house keys.
Fair enough.
Hello.
It's the shock of the matches. That's what I can put it down to. How awful.
Terrible. Lovely cameo. What a brilliant cameo.
So yeah, like I was just saying, with the quality these teams have, and I'm not saying we're going to be the next Liverpool or Chelsea and spend all it, but they buy, and they buy well. Look at Jota, 20-odd million it was, and it's keeping it fresh. We've got no one. We've got no one, and like you said, Simeon, they can take off Griezmann and just say it's not working. Here you go. We can't do that. But I have to say, I think Kane's performance yesterday woke a lot of people up about how he's been. There are a lot of people talking, and the bit that you were saying, Ben and Tim, as well about the chances creation or whatever. That was actually the third game this season alone where we haven't had a shot in the second half, let alone on target.
And no, I think since the start of last season, I believe, wasn't that?
No, it's this season.
Is it?
Yep.
Well, Chelsea was one. Obviously, West Ham was another. And Palace, yeah.
We didn't have a shot against... No, we did have a good shot against Palace, didn't we?
When?
I think Lucas had one.
Did he?
Yeah, before the sending off.
I don't remember that. Maybe.
I think Lucas, just before the sending off,
Well,
I think on his left foot.
We've identified two of them. There's one more that I think we can find.
Okay. Yeah. It's not great, is it?
No, this is the thing. I don't know what goes on. I don't know where we go. I mean, if you look at it before the United game and since the last home game, we could literally have had an embarrassment in Europe, a shocking performance yesterday, could be out of the Carabao Cup,
and we're still sixth, Brian.
And then as Ben said, Dr. Tottenham comes rolling in on Saturday to give Ollie some medicine. It's like, what more can go wrong? And we're only in late October.
Yeah, I think we're the perfect team for United to be facing right now, I reckon.
Literally.
We
sorted Arsenal's season right out. We're going to sort United's season right out. Who's next? What other failing clubs next? Leicester, do you want one as well?
Well, you look at this as well, and I was talking about this with Brian Ireland yesterday. It's got to the point where, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but we've got 2 home games left in the Europa League, and they're the hardest 2 that we've got Rennes and obviously Vitesse coming. If we don't get a result in either of those, this story could get even worse.
We are 6th, though, Brian. You know, is that a false position, do you think?
We're 6th, 1 point from 10th.
Yeah, we're 2 points from top 4.
It's just very congested. It's 9 games in.
I know. So are we in a false position?
Performance-wise, yes, we are. Performance-wise, I honestly believe we are.
Fair enough.
And we should see. And then we got obviously Everton away, but after their performance. But I have to speak about the people saying Nuno out. I can understand where they're coming from. If you're not happy, you all have the right to an opinion to say, I don't like the manager, I want him out, I want him in, whatever, like me with Levy. But you've got to ask yourself now, who in their right mind can we get? This is the big thing, because it'll prove Levy's got it wrong again, but you try and get another manager in. Who in their right mind is going to want to come to Tottenham Hotspur and manage this club? Unless you're a manager you're either out of a job, like someone like an Eddie Howe or someone. I'm not saying it will be Eddie, but I'm just picking a manager that's out of work. Lampard, obviously, he's not coming with a billion years, but an out of work. Or it's going to be a manager that needs to resurrect his career and have one final shot, because we won't be able to attract a manager that we would deem credible with the job because of what's going on at the club.
Take your pick. Ryan Mason, David Pleat or Chris Hughton?
Can we bring back Bill Nicholson's ashes from outside the ground and just put like his urn or something by the manager's chair?
I tell you what we should do, just put his ashes on like a Ouija board and just try to figure out what formation we should do.
Or what we'll do, we get the Bill Nicholson bust and then we'll put it on the seat, because at least that'll give them more motivation, because that's where we're going right now. We are in a dire position as a club.
Yeah, it's very hard to take.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Starting the week well, Brian.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Adam Phillips said Clive Allen could be one as well.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's got to the point where I don't know what was going to do. I mean, it'll probably be Ryan Mason as well, and that'll just please everyone, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I heard last week that Ryan Mason might be in the running to take the Charlton job or something like that.
You know what? I'm not joking. If I was him, I'd get out.
Do you know who Charlton's temporary manager is at the moment?
No.
It's Johnny Jackson.
Johnny Jackson?
Oh, yeah.
Bloody hell.
That's a blast from the past.
How mad is that?
That is ridiculous. But you know what? If it's him, you're doing well in the youth. If you want to get a break in first team football, Ryan Mason, I'm afraid to say it's not going to be Tottenham Hotspur. And it shouldn't be Tottenham Hotspur because it'll put a huge blot on your future career.
Yeah.
And we need someone. We thought Jose would stand up to to Levy, and whether he did or he didn't, that's a matter of opinion. In how he left, we need someone that will literally talk to him or not talk to him, tell him how it is, because I don't know how many more managers or players or whatever we have to go through before people realise it's him all along.
All right, Brian.
Right.
Always a pleasure and always delightful having you on a Monday morning.
Lovely, Brian.
Always in this mood. It's always brilliant. But guys, I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday.
Yeah,
where
me
hopefully
too.
we get back to winning ways. Ben, I'll give you a call about United after this. And also, I was going to say, everyone check out a new Facebook group I found. It's Odera Fasa. They are a very big. They've got 27,000 subscribers. They're a really good Facebook group. So go give them a check out.
Brian, just before you go, I want to ask you a quick question. On Wednesday, are you going to stick with the same T-shirt or are you going to mix it up?
You know what? I get very superstitious with things like that, and we've lost the game now. So I don't know. I think I should be given a new. I think I should be given a new colour We Are Tottenham TV shirt to start the new thing. Remember when I used to shave my hair if we lost?
Yeah.
I wouldn't shave to win. I think I need a new We Are Tottenham TV shirt.
We can give you a new one, but it might not be the right size. I don't think we got anything left in your size, but I'm sure we can find something.
There we go. Let's do that.
All right.
Let's do that.
Big up, Brian.
All right, boys. Big up everyone in the chat, on the show, on the back scene, and of course, Ben, do you want to sign me out with your and as always?
And as always,
Levy out.
Big up,
Laters.
Brian. We'll speak to you soon, bro.
That's on Brian.
All right, we got Sai coming on next. Sai, you underwater?
Oh, is he there?
I think he's on mute.
Ah,
There you go.
There you go. Sai.
what has happened to the screen?
Need to wipe your camera, mate. Just give it a nice wipe.
I don't think it's that. In the back end, it's crystal clear. My face is beautiful, but and on your screen, it
Don't worry,
seems to
Sai.
be-
It's still beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm a Smurf as well. Everyone's blue.
No, you're your actual colour here on screen. But anyway, Sai,
Like a
what
dream
would you
sequence, you know, when they go in a film, like they go to a dream, it's all like in your face, like light.
It's all these terrible Tottenham performances making me
that's
go
what it's
blue.
like. I think with every bad performance, the camera's getting worse and worse every time you come on. It gets worse with every Spurs performance.
It's so
as soon as
bad.
they play well, maybe it'll get better. Someone's saying it's a Nokia 3310. That's why. Is that what it's
Literally, it's
What,
bizarre
with the plug-in
because-
camera?
Yeah, in the back end, it's absolutely fine, but right here, it's terrible.
Anyway, Sai, well, what do you want to? We missed you last night. Well, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, it's quite astonishing, really, because this is the fourth London derby
Yeah.
of absolutely shocking attitude.
You say absolutely shocking attitude, but do you not think it was a lot better than the previous three?
In spells, yeah, in spells. I think. Do you know what? Actually, let's speak positively because I thought Romero was absolutely fantastic yesterday. I know Antonio is a massive handful, and there might have been maybe 1 or 1.5 occasions where Antonio won that battle, but overall, I thought he's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And even to the point when he takes a West Ham player out and stands over him saying "get up," infuriating the opposition. And I thought, oh wow, this game's finally woken up. And unfortunately, that was kind of a bit of a catalyst towards their goal because it then kept them in their end for no reason, arguably. But it was about that aggression, that mentality to be like, I'm getting a bit like annoyed here now, and I'm going to start doing something a bit out of the ordinary, like that's in my character. Because I think the attitude of a lot of the players is non-existent, but I also think the character's non-existent. And when I mean character, I mean what we've seen, maybe even if it was like 2-3 years ago, because everyone's morale is really down for the last couple of seasons, for one reason or another. I still think, to this day, and it may sound ridiculous, but some of the players still have a downward mindset because of the Champions League final. It feels like they let themselves down so much They built so much into the club that they just feel like they can't get back to it. And when you've got that momentum in your mind, you just never, ever come back from it. So I think it was nice to see definitely Romero yesterday bringing some character to the team. But the rest of them, it's about clinical finishing, isn't it? Because we did have 2 or 3 very easy opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net, right? And it's not the first time. There's even last season, and this season has been a repeat of that. Why are we not putting these balls in the back of the net? And also, there's been a couple of occasions on a number of games this season, and if you look, there's been great potential opportunities where players decided to shoot rather than pass it. And I think that's just like, whether it's a lack of communication or not shouting loud enough, or just people like, oh, I'm in the box, I must shoot, I must try and get a goal. And it's really frustrating on that aspect yesterday, because like I know there's like Son was getting annoyed with Mora, Kane was getting annoyed with Son. It was just like a constant circle of nonsense when we should have just been banging them in. And we faced, as always, the consequence of not doing that. And we concede a ridiculous goal once again. And it's quite infuriating on that aspect. And when I talk about the lack of attitude, I'm talking about the lack of attitude and concentration, as well as what we've seen in previous games of lack of attitude because of just the way they are generally playing or not playing. So, it was difficult to take yesterday, because I think in spells we were quite good compared to like you said, the other London derby games. But the fact of the matter is the result has not gone our way again. And that's when you start having to question, could you realistically, hand on heart, say that these players played the best that they could yesterday? I don't think they did. I think they did in a couple of spells, but that's not good enough. I think you have to be in a game like that. You have to be 90 minutes of absolute certainty that you want to try and win this game. And I wasn't seeing that. I haven't seen it all season. The Newcastle game is what it is because it's Newcastle. Look where they are, right? It's still good to have the win, obviously. I'm being positive on that aspect. But yesterday was hard to take because we had the opportunities. And that comes down to attitude. And whether it's confidence, morale, I don't really know what's going on in this club at all anymore. And we rested all these players. And I think, personally, our players look like they have no stamina, no fitness whatsoever.
Do you think fitness is an issue, Si? You think fitness is an issue?
Yes, massively. Because part of your fitness is part of your mind. Like, you need to have that, first of all, the mindset to have that ability to push yourself in games. And I feel like a lot of players, they just go, oh, I've lost the ball. I can't really be bothered to go and chase that. Or they're just running after the game. It's like we're second to every ball. It was like United yesterday. Everything was too late. It was like, oh, we need to track back here and this, that, and the other. But like Tottenham was similar yesterday in a lot of the areas of the game. And it's not the first time. Like I said, it's not the first time this season. I'm not one to shout at the managers and this, that, and the other, telling.
Oh, Si, you're breaking up a bit.
Leave them.
Si, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Si. You've absolutely crashed. I think we're going to have to get him off, but thanks for coming on, Si. Really appreciate the call. Let's go on to Jory, the Jorical. Jory, how's it going, man?
Hey, guys.
There you go.
Hey, how are you? You've settled down from last night? You a bit happier today?
I wasn't that unhappy. I think I was one of the...
True, you were, to be fair. You were, but just as a fan base as a whole, you know what I mean? Not you personally.
No, of course I'm not happy about it, but I do feel like I do feel like most of the fans completely disrespect what West Ham is today. West Ham is, for us, one of the hardest teams to meet. And to be honest, West Ham is now of a caliber where actually, our normal thinking is not to sit back against West Ham, but it's just as justified to do against West Ham as against a lot more even than, say, United or or so on, you know. So yeah, I think West Ham just shows us and the league in general, you know, what you can do with a team, you know, which is, it's not all about the money, it's not all about the superstars, and this is kind of what we've been, you know, it's been forming in our squad as well in this first selection. I can see the structure of a team. So, and I continued to see that yesterday. I do agree with Sai that yes, fitness is an issue still. We're still not there. In terms of everybody being very disappointed with Kane, it's not that I wasn't disappointed with Kane, but Kane has been disappointed. Like I've seen Kane in a different light than most fans have. You know, I didn't take him scoring as him being back or anything. I thought that that game was very much in line with what we've been seeing from him this season. So I wasn't that surprised yesterday. Actually, I thought he was more diligent in his work rate yesterday. But I think you know, if the thing about the thing about playing Kane once again is like we lose speed from that. Speed is something that we can dominate teams with. When we take the speed out of our game, then physicality becomes a much bigger part, you know. And we don't have the physicality. Our players are not both. We have many kind of lightweight, fast players, which are not gonna do well in a slow game. And also, we don't like the attitude in general. Even the players that can, apart from maybe exactly a Kane. Of course, we see it now. Thank God, from Romero and Emerson and guys like that. And Højbjerg has always shown it. But we don't have that many like gritty fighters in our team. You know, Skip is of course a new addition. You know, so when we slow down the game, we're inviting that type of game onto us. You know, so like it's definitely not personal. Like what we then lose, of course, if we go for the speed, is we lose the absolute clinical execution of Kane. You know, which I'm not happy about losing that. But I'm in a place now where I'm seeing like Kane is a little bit of a broken man now. And also, I think he outperformed himself last season anyway. So I don't expect us to see that back. So I think it's time for us to think in different ways now.
What way would you think, and how would you set the team up?
So I mean, for me, it's been. I was even at the summer. I like, you know, guys. I thought the time is here. We have to let him go now, and we have to do it in a proper way. But now I really feel like now we really need to let him go, and we need to get the best out of it for us, so that we can rebuild. And I would say too, and I've already said it. Like if we can get Kane out, and for example. Get two top class strikers, not world class, top class young strikers out of it, we're in really good shape. And those strikers should be based on speed, based on this high tempo game. That I think, you know, everything in our squad screams out for that, in my view. You know, and even now with Romero and stuff, we can play a decent high line. You know, so. I mean, I would like you guys as well. What do you how do you feel about Kane right now in this situation? Because it's not clicking, and it's not all Kane's fault. It's not his attitude, all of it. Of course, he has been royalty in the club for a long time, and you can't fault the guy for having a hard time adjusting to maybe a new role as just one of the guys now, which I think Nunes putting more emphasis on. But what do you feel? How what's the best play with Kane now?
Yeah, it's difficult with Harry Kane. I think at the moment he might benefit a bit from coming out the team or something from what I'm seeing. Even I can admit that. I think that the way we're playing with Kane up top, I agree with you. I don't think it's necessarily his fault. But sometimes when it's not working, Like, you should be able, when even a player of Kane's caliber, you should be able to change it and try something different. But unfortunately, I just don't think we're in a position to do it with the squad we have. I just think that's the unfortunate reality of the Tottenham squad. Like, as much as I would like us to try something different. Like, yeah, we could go with Son up front, but then if I don't think having Son up front would make us create any more chances in the last 20 minutes yesterday than having Kane up front. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I think like our biggest structural problem right now is the playmaker, you know, and like you can't as much as like nobody in the world really has more skills in that department than Tanguy, but he doesn't have the attitude. He doesn't have the fitness quite for it. Well, I would say also one guy that could also fill that role is Lucas, but their head is not there. And you know, a really world-class playmaker or a top Premier League playmaker needs to be a guy that's all his life basically been going for that role. You know, it's not, you know, even though we can maybe kind of you know. You know, get over a hump and play Lucas like that, or Ndombele or whatever. It's never gonna be an Eriksen, you know, and that's what we
need a tempo setter in the midfield. That's what we need. We need someone to set the tempo. We need someone to get on the ball and start playing for us in the middle. Because however good Højbjerg and Skip are, they don't do that anywhere near enough as they maybe should do. And I think that in terms of having Harry Kane in the team, we need to be doing less of this playing just on transitions, and we need to build from the back, progressive football, using the full length of the wing backs, not just Reguilon but Emerson as well. We need to be bombing forward from the wing backs, and we need a tempo setter in the middle of the park. And I think that would get more out of Kane. I genuinely believe that, and I think that if we had that yesterday against West Ham, I think we win the game quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think also to be like yesterday, I was watching it back again, you know, and we had clearly the better chances to win the game. You know, clearly, we didn't execute there, but that's gonna happen in no matter what squad you will have these games. What's missing maybe in our squad is that we, like you say, I agree actually with what you're saying there, Ben, and I think like that's basically what Nuno is trying to do, because you can see it with his use of the wingers, and you could even see it now with Romero going up. I love to see that. I like that. That's like really dangerous, high pressing, high tempo football, but we lack the tempo. Exactly, we lack the playmaker, we lack the passing game. We saw that was what I loved in the Chelsea game. The first part of the first half there, we saw, you know, the really high ball release there, you know, which is what I would love to see that more from us. But that also is down to the players, you know, being up for this kind of much more physical game, you know, and I think it's still a problem in our club, even though I have a feeling that Nuno's dealing with it fairly okay, but I still think these players are still getting away with not turning up in fitness matters, you know, I think it's built like the coaches, the supporting staff. I just think they constantly get this idea that it's not supposed to be this hard, you know, and that's not true.
Well, he was asked in the press conference yesterday, Nuno, if the last half an hour the players appeared to run out of steam. That's what he was asked, and are you worried about their fitness? He said he responded saying that he disagrees with that, and he thinks that the players had no problems physically or fitness-wise to deal with the 90 minutes. So do you think there is do you disagree with Nuno? Do you think there is a fitness problem with Tottenham?
And maybe not a problem, but I would then turn it around, because I don't think Nuno is that bad tactically that he doesn't want to sub and so on. I think his reluctance to sub is basically part of the preparation he's getting the fitness up, you know. and he's probably getting the best session out of the guys when something's on the line in the game. So he's maybe, sacrificing some of these games simply to get the squad to where it needs to be.
Right.
But I also, in that regard, I also say, once again, I hate to always bring it back to Kane, but this is the kind of problem, this luxury problem we have, that when you have Kane in there, the structure so naturally falls back to a slower, more sitting structure. When he's not there, then they just go crazy. And like they running wise, they really go full out. And I'm not saying that Kane is the guy that's making them stop running or whatever. I'm just saying the structure, the form of the team kind of falls into this, what we saw the most of the time with Mourinho, and that's too slow for our squad, I think, to be honest, right now, I think it's very much a time to try the super sub strategy as well with Kane. Also, one thing I would like to say positive is I love to see how Kane now is dropping to the side a lot, and I would really love to see that whole front three be more fluid, because that's, if we take the speed element out of it, that alone is, you can imagine how hard that can be defensively, tactically. If you imagine Son, Lucas, and Kane now into switching just fluidly all the time, that's going to be a little bit of a nightmare for any coach, any manager to kind of find a strategy to deal with that. So I think that's also one of the things that is going in the right direction.
Jory, let me read this super chat out to you, and I want you to react to it. I just want to see your thoughts on this from Mintu Lee. Big up Mintu Lee, and she says, let's face it, Nuno doesn't have a tactic or a plan. The majority of our wins so far are due to moments of players, mostly Son, not pre and in-game management. What would you say to that?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't agree with Nuno doesn't have a tactic or plan, but Nuno has a tactic and a plan for our squad. It's not fitted for our opposition. That's maybe the big difference. And as our squad is playing now, our own problem, like this problem, I think is our biggest problem, means that it's not enough. We're not good enough in that regards to break through difficult opposition like West Ham. But I would say if we didn't have a tactic or a plan yesterday, we would have been destroyed yesterday. So, normally this is exactly the kind of game that goes badly wrong, like a 3-1 or something, because of their discipline and their plan, So I would have said yesterday, I see weakness in Nuno tactically for sure. He's nowhere near good enough for top level, I think. But I just think it's kind of like with United. Now United maybe have a squad where it's absolutely unavoidable. You need to get a better tactician to control this team. We're still in the making the team process. We have to. In my view, that's what we have to remember.
We're always in the making the team process.
Yeah. Well, not always. We had a team there at one moment,
Yeah.
but
we've been in the making the team process since what, 2016, 2017?
Yes, but I would I'm really hard pressed to agree with that. We should be a top 4, a top 6 now. There's not we're too disjointed right now. We have the elite players, 2 of them, one of them that's not fitting fantastically into the system. Mourinho designed everything around them, and he probably got a lot better results out of our squad than you could have hoped for, and that was actually a weaker squad than we have now in terms of the supporting players. But I just think, in general, and this is maybe the Nordic, the Icelandic element in me. It's imperative that a club that's not like we're not a PSG or something, so we need to build a team. And for me, it's clear we're not there yet. We've got hole. We need the playmaker. We still need to fix a little bit in the. We need a better number 2 CB in my view, and we need fast strikers, preferably 2 instead of, and then two top class strikers for Kane. How about, would you take that, guys? Now, like
depends,
a
it depends who they
Vlahovic,
are. Depends who they are.
like a Dusan and one more at that level.
Yeah, I think I probably would take that right now. I probably would.
Yeah, if it means just a complete refresh at this point, and it means like a different mentality into the team as well, I guess so. Yeah, obviously it would hurt to lose Kane, but
things
at this
always
point,
need to move on. You know,
we need this team clearly needs refreshing, and as painful as it is, I think Kane's probably part of that at this point.
All good things come to an end, unfortunately.
Of course, yeah. And like
well, I wouldn't say it's because of that. I wouldn't say it's because all good things come to an end or anything like that. I just think at this point with Harry Kane, I think Kane as a player and stuff, like he's obviously still more than good enough, and with, I just think at the moment, like there's no other option. We're just fully relying on him, and to be fully reliant on a player who want to leave because we were so reliant on him. You know what I mean? It's not a situation we want to be on.
No, but yeah, exactly, and that's what I mentioned before. Like with the Messi problem, how, was it good for Barcelona to keep him for these last 3 years or whatever, with everything that's associated? The whole club and structure and so on has kind of been held up with that situation with Messi, and now that didn't work out anymore, they really have to face every problem at the same moment, which is not great, I think. And also, like if Kane goes into a Man City, Kane is going to break every record in the book and so on. Like Kane would be, in my view, probably the best striker in Europe if he goes into a world-class possession team.
Yeah.
We're not that possession team, So it's not the greatest fit anymore. But that being said, we can, of course, in this moment, I see progression with Kane actually in what Nuno is trying to do. So I think a couple of games down the line, we'll see more joy from Kane, but it's never gonna be the old Kane. I think not while Nuno is. Then it would have to switch once again to Son and Kane show, and I don't think that's gonna happen really. But who knows with this club?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who does know, Jory? Who does know? If the Joracle doesn't know, who else is going to know?
Yeah.
But, Jory, thanks a lot for coming on as always.
Jory.
And we'll
pleasure, guys.
We'll speak to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Spurs.
Nice one.
Super chat here from Mintu Lee again saying, someone please tell him that he can make subs during a game. Please do. All our subs are late as fuck. But not a left-footed left back for a right-footed winger. I feel bad for Gil. At one point, he had to play as left wing back.
Gil's left-footed, no?
Huh?
He's left-footed. Gil, not right-footed.
I'm not actually sure what footed he is.
He's left-footed. Yeah, Gil. Left-footed, yeah. Yeah.
And another one from Danimel Yanandez saying, we need to lower our standards and be realistic. We have an average squad, no exciting players. I just hope we qualify for the UECL next season. If we're not going to be in Europa League, I would rather be out of this competition. I don't want to be in this competition, honestly. I'd rather have I think Arsenal, long term, in this season, are going to benefit by not being in Europe this year. You watch. I'm telling you, they're going to benefit for not being in Europe because they get a whole week to train for that one game. Mm-hmm. We don't. No.
You'd be surprised how little Spurs actually have on the pitch to work tactically because we're in Europe.
Yeah.
And obviously, if in Europa League and stuff, it's worth it. But UCL it's difficult, man.
Well, UECL. I wish
UECL, so not UCL. UE, whatever. UEC, whatever you say, whatever acronym it is.
All right. I think that is all for today. That is our Good Morning Tottenham. A nice long stream for you guys this morning. We'll be clipping up a few of the clips today and putting them up, as well as the player ratings and 5 takeaways that are going to come your way today as well. So an action-packed day for you guys. Look forward to the content. I'm looking forward to bringing it to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.